So anyways, I am now disappointed, confused, not sure how to feel because my current partner doesn't seem happy at all that I'm pregnant. I'm over the moon. This is everything I've always wanted. I already feel like I was taking care of a kid, honestly, because she was like a big ass baby. In the sense that she wasn't independent, she didn't handle her own business, etc. So I was like, if I can deal with someone who's had cancer and is dependent upon me, I can deal with a child. I'm totally prepared for that responsibility. And it will probably honestly be easier than this experience I just went through like 6 months ago. Sure, we schedule the first appointment to go see baby. And we have the 6-week appointment. And I start to tell my friends that I'm pregnant and my family. And they all have questions, clearly, because I'm a young 22-year-old who's pregnant and with a girl. So I start explaining how I came to this decision and all of that. Mind you, also, just for context, part of the contract was that Zach had to go get tested and make sure he was completely healthy, blood-wise, STD panels, all of that. So that was covered prior and part of the contract, which I still have the contract. I just saw it when we were moving, and it was kind of crazy. So anyways, all that to be said, we go to the first appointment, and my first partner is with me. This sounds so messy. And they're kind of reserved and quiet, and I'm just like over the moon, excited. I'm crying when I see the baby at first. They don't have a reaction at all. And things start to feel weird in my mind and body about this whole situation with them. And it wasn't until I caught them texting my friends back, which they would often take my phone and look through it because they still accused me of cheating a lot, even after I proved that I was loyal and always going to be there for them. I caught them texting my friends back and deleting texts that I lied and I wasn't actually pregnant. And I remember confronting them and being like, don't you think in 9 months you're gonna look kind of silly doing that? That's kind of weird that you would do that. Like, a baby is going to be born. We just had the first appointment. It exists. We saw the heartbeat. Like, what are you doing? That's weird. And now my friends think I'm a liar. And I had to like double down and text them back and be like, here's my ultrasound. And it was just really freaky. And fights intensified between us. They weren't like super strong after their cancer or anything, but they had some weight on me. They like to say that there was no possible way that they were strong enough to do these things that I'm about to talk about next. But I'm going to tell you that it would take a lot for me. It took a lot for me to uproot myself from that situation and start a completely new life as a single parent, knowing that I would have to do it all alone despite what I thought I was signing up for. So we start fighting and arguing a lot. And I think, thinking back now, looking at it, I'm thinking maybe they were trying to purposefully cause me to have another miscarriage, and they thought if they stressed me out enough, because I had pointed out that they were stressing me out a lot with the last time, the chemical pregnancy. So I think they thought if they stressed me out enough, they could cause another miscarriage. One day we got in the fight and the old toxic ways came crashing back really bad. And this was the first time I had really seen them show up again. I don't remember what we were fighting about, but I was telling them if they couldn't get their shit together, we weren't going to be able to raise this baby together because all the shit they were doing was super weird. And I was like, you need to figure out your life. You can't just bum around forever. You've got to do something. And it's not just because a baby's coming, but you got to do something. Figure out what you want to do. I always tell my friends, family, anybody, like, figure out what you want to do if they're not doing nothing, which is crazy coming from me. But I have a lot of hobbies. Whatever. I have a business now, an LLC. I knew I wanted to be a mother, and that was the thing I really wanted to do in life. And I still love it. Love being a mom. Wish I wasn't anxious. If I didn't have anxiety, I'd be the freaking best mom on the planet. Anyways, I digress. All that to say, we got in fights. We got in a fight one day. I ended up calling my mom during this fight because they have a knife and they're trying to their own wrists. And in this altercation, I'm trying to grab it, and it now becomes a dangerous thing to where they're trying to grab it from me, and it's pointed at my stomach, and I'm like fighting for this object that could hurt somebody, and they're being so careless, and I'm reminding them that I'm pregnant, and they're still not caring that they could accidentally hurt me or the baby. Eventually, I'm just like, I'm calling my mom, screaming into the phone, help me. She's trying to herself, help me. And my mom's like, I can't hear what you're saying. I'm not doing this with y'all. And hangs up the phone. I'm screaming bloody murder like I've never screamed in my life before for help. That's not typically my like go-to coping skill if I'm in a dangerous situation. But anyways, all that to say, I eventually have a safe way to let go of it to where it's only going to affect them in the sense that they're gonna, whatever. And then they several times on their own self. And I'm looking around at the disheveled furniture from this altercation. And I'm like, I can't raise a baby in this. I can't. There's no way we're going to be able to parent together. This person is absolutely certifiably fucking crazy. And it was that moment that I realized that second chances don't mean that some magical thing is going to happen for somebody and they're going to be a better person. That just because God gives you a second chance at life doesn't mean you're a good person. And that was something that really was fundamentally hard for me to swallow. But I just knew at that point, that day, it couldn't go on like that anymore. I couldn't live with someone like that. I couldn't be pregnant in an environment like that or endanger my child. I had protective instincts over my pregnancy. And so I told them they have to get out. And they refused. So I moved home and continued to pay the rent on the apartment for like a month and a half. Because I just couldn't deal with this chaos and the stress. I had been through too much with this person. But for sure, I was done that day. I was done with them, didn't want the life with them anymore. It had just, a switch had flipped in my brain like, this is never going to change. They're always going to be this person. And so for months, until my parents eventually went over there and were like, you got to get out, dude. This is her apartment. You're not paying anything. You're just bumming around here, which was like 6 weeks later. They stayed there. And the only reason they ended up getting out was because it was the end of the lease and I was not renewing it. And that was the only way to get her out. So, yeah, we split and there wasn't a whole lot of communication after that. I made it very clear I never wanted anything to do with them again. And now I'm pregnant with a little baby and a single parent. And I later find out it was a little baby girl.